Welcome to Soccer 101. I'm Coach Nick, the Recreational Coaching Director here at Coleman United Soccer Club. Throughout the course of this video, we're going to give you an overview of general soccer rules, some club guidelines, common positions, and some terminology that you may hear on the playing field. And whether you're new to the sport or just need a little refresher, this video should be a way for every coach, player, parent, and spectator to gain a little more knowledge about the game.
The first section is devoted to the 17 laws of the game. For each rule, there may be specific modifications that Coleman United will follow at different age levels. Field of play. Each age division at CUSC will have its own dimensions and markings. Become familiar with your field to better follow the game. When looking at this generic diagram, let me draw your attention to a few things. The goal area is the smaller box near the goal. When a goal kick is taken, it is taken from within this area. The penalty area is the larger area outside the goal area. Direct fouls inside the box will result in a penalty kick. This box is also the area in which the goalkeeper may use their hands. The sidelines are often referred to as touch lines, and the goal lines are often referred to as end lines. The yellow line is referred to as the build-out line. It is only used for the U8 and U10 divisions, even if they are marked on the field you're playing on. The build-out line serves as a development purpose, teaching players to move the ball up the field in short passes rather than long kicks. It also moves the offside position up to the build-out line rather than at midfield, again serving a development purpose when transitioning. Look for markings or areas that separate players from spectators. Fans should be sitting on the opposite side of the team benches. This helps game management for the referees and coaches. The ball. Each age division will also have its own recommended ball size. Shown on the screen are the ball sizes that CUSC will be using. Number of players. There must be no more than 11 players on the field of play for either team. A minimum number of players is usually 7. Some youth leagues, including CUSC, encourage games with less than 11 players to help in development of young players. You can see our club's guidelines on the screen. At U8 and up, one player from each team must be designated as a goalkeeper. The goalkeeper will wear a different color shirt from the teammates so that everyone can easily distinguish this player. Player equipment. One of the great things about soccer is it doesn't require much to play, which is why it is so popular among all cultures worldwide. For safety purposes, CUSC requires all players to practice and play with shin guards under socks. Cleats are recommended. If they are worn, they should be soft cleated with no toe spike. Goalkeepers will wear a different color. A penny may be worn in place of a keeper-specific jersey. No headwear, and no watches or jewelry. Law 5 and 6, referees and assistant referees. Referees and linesmen or assistant referees will manage the duration, scoring, rules, and player safety of each game. U6 games will be managed by the coaches on the field. The referees hold final authority concerning the game. If a coach has an issue with an official, it should not be taken up on the field, and especially during play. Nothing you do will change the outcome of the game. Players, coaches, spectators, and referees all have different perspectives of the field, which means that everyone may have a different interpretation of the same event based on that perspective. The one truth in all of that is the referee's perspective is unbiased, and it is the final authority. We are all human, and mistakes are made. All involved should act with integrity, remembering the mission of Coleman United Soccer to develop youth in a fun, safe, healthy, and competitive environment, which provides physical, mental, and emotional growth for players of all ages and skill levels. All of that begins with coaches and parents. On a side note, like most recreational soccer organizations nationwide, many of our referees are youth, often under the age of 16. So before voicing your opinions, imagine your child in the role of a referee being verbally abused by coaches and parents. Coaches should report an issue or discrepancy with a referee to one of the Coleman United staff members. Parents with issues should discuss it with your coach and let them report to a staff member. For everyone who is an armchair referee, we want your skills on the field. Please inquire about when to attend a training session and put your expertise to good use. In all seriousness, good referees are just as important as good coaches in the success and development of our program and athletes. We'd love to add you to the list, and if not, we would love for you to be an outstanding role model for our players by being patient, understanding, and supportive of our referees. Duration of the game. Each age division at CUSC will use the shown guidelines for game length and periods. U6 to U10 will play quarter intervals, and substitutions can only take place during this stoppage, with exception for injury or yellow cards. The quarter break is not intended as a rest period or coaching timeout. Players should quickly substitute and sip water if needed. The officials will enforce this. U12 will be playing halves, therefore they may substitute freely during the game at appropriate times of possession change. Teams will switch halves of the field after halftime break. There will be no overtime periods in case of a tie, other than specifically outlined tournament matches. Start of play. A kickoff is used to begin the game, restart after a goal, or to begin the second half. Each team will remain on its side of the field until the ball is kicked. The ball must be touched by a second player before the first player can touch it again, and the ball must be touched by a second player before scoring a goal. The second player can be of either team. The opposing team must remain outside the center circle until the ball is first kicked. The team kicking the ball may play the ball in any direction to begin and may position themselves inside the circle as desired. A drop ball is often used to restart play after a referee stops play for any reason other than a goal, period break, foul, or out of play scenario. One player from each team facing each other will be allowed to kick after the ball is dropped, and only after it hits the ground. In the spirit of the game, most drop ball scenarios will be uncontested to give the ball back to the team that was in possession prior to stoppage. An injury stoppage is a good example of when a drop ball may be used. Out of play. The ball is considered out of play only after it completely crosses the touch line or end line on the ground or in the air. If any part of the ball is touching the paint, play should continue. Keep in mind that a single referee without the assistance of a linesman may not have the best perspective to see a blade of grass between the ball and the paint. We don't need coaches and spectators making that call. Be understanding and patient. If your players know the rules and they play honestly, they will stop if the ball goes out. Otherwise, play until the whistle blows. A ball that strikes a corner flag, any of the goalpost, or a referee and stays on the field is considered in play. Keep in mind the ball must cross the line. A player can technically be outside the paint and possess the ball inside the field. Scoring. A goal is scored if the ball completely crosses the end line between the goalpost and underneath the crossbar. A goalkeeper or defender could be inside the goal to save the ball as long as the ball never completely crosses the line on the ground or in the air. A goal is awarded to the opposing team if the defending team kicks the ball into their own goal. Offside. The offside rule tends to be the trickiest to understand, simply based on wording, but once you see it occur, it becomes easier to interpret. In really simple terms, a player is in an offside position if they do not have two defenders between them and the goal, and they are ahead of the ball. One of the defending players can be the goalkeeper. Because of this, we usually use the last field player as a reference. This player must be on the opponent's half of the field or inside the build-out line for U8 and U10 ages. U6 will not play with the offside rule. A player is not in an offside position if they are even with the last player. A player in an offside position is not guilty of a foul, though, until the ball has been passed to them. Not if and when they receive it, but when it is passed. The exception is if a player in an offside position is not involved in the play. If there is any advantage in any way to the offside position, the player will be guilty. If a player in an offside position is sitting picking grass in the corner while the ball is passed to another player who is not offside, the grass picker has not committed a foul. In the event of an offside foul, the defending team will be awarded an indirect kick from the spot of the infraction. Let's look at a few diagrams to visualize this rule. Taking each pair as an individual scenario, let's explain onside and offside position. On the far left, the attacking player in blue is ahead of the ball, but they are not behind the last defender, so therefore they are considered onside. On the far right scenario, attacking player blue is ahead of the ball, but they are even with the last defender, so therefore they are considered an onside position. In the center scenario, attacking player blue is ahead of the ball and also behind the last defender, not including the goalkeeper. Therefore, they are considered in an offside position. Once the ball is passed, this player will be guilty of an offside infraction. This diagram simply adds the build-out line. The only difference here is without a build-out line, the offside may occur anywhere on the opponent's half of the field. With the build-out line, the offside can only occur inside of the build-out line. In the scenario on the far right, even though attacking player blue is ahead of the ball and behind this last defender, they are still outside of the build-out line, therefore considered in an onside position. Fouls and misconduct, free kicks, penalty kicks. There are two categories of fouls, major fouls and minor fouls. This screen shows a list of common infractions that may result in a foul. I usually like to think of major fouls as your player contact fouls. Ball handling, of course, being an exception here. The result of a major foul is a direct kick awarded to the non-offending team. Direct kicks, as the name implies, can score a goal directly from the kick without it touching a second player. The team not kicking the ball must remain 10 yards away until the ball is kicked. Direct kicks inside the opponent's penalty area will result in a penalty kick from the mark. Opposing teams must remain outside the penalty box and penalty arc until the ball is kicked. Minor fouls are kind of like violations of playing guidelines. Passing back to the goalkeeper, then picking it up, encroaching on the goalkeeper, offside, obstructing other players like a screen, referee dissent, etc. The result of a minor foul is an indirect kick, awarded to the non-offending team. This kick must touch a second player before scoring. Opposing players must be 10 yards away until the ball is kicked. The only exception is if the indirect foul occurs inside the goal area. The kick will be taken from the goal box line, and defending players may line up on the end line between the goalposts. Misconduct refers to two types of consequences that may result from a major or minor foul. These are at the discretion of the referee, but there are some objective decisions here as well. Receiving a yellow card is a formal caution. Offenders must be substituted and may return at an appropriate stoppage. If a second yellow card is received by the same player, they in turn are booked for a red card and ejected from the game. Yellow cards typically are presented following previous warnings for a player's actions, or in the case of an overly aggressive major foul. Arguing with the referee, taunting other players, and intentional rule breaking may also lead to a direct yellow. Red card bookings result in the ejection of the offending player. This player cannot be substituted, and the offending team will play with one person less. Direct red cards are usually the consequences of aggressive major fouls with the intention to foul or injure. Ejections can also be the result of cursing, spitting at players and referees, and the use of a handball or foul to prevent a goal-scoring opportunity. Coaches are also subject to yellow and red card violations. Throw-in. To restart a ball that has gone out of play on the touchline, the team that did not touch the ball last will be awarded a throw-in. Two hands must be on the ball, and a forward motion overhead must be used to deliver the throw. The thrower's feet must be outside or touching the line. Both feet must be on the ground when the ball is released. No twisting motion may be used to throw. The U6 division will be using a kick-in rather than a throw-in, which is going to be introduced at the U8 level. Let's take a look at a proper and improper throw-in in motion. The goal kick. A goal kick for the defending team will be used to restart a ball that has gone out of play on the end line last touched by the attacking team. The goal kick should be taken inside the goal area on the half of the field that it went out of play on. Only the kicking team may be within the penalty area until the ball is kicked. At U8 and U10, these players must be outside the build-out line until the ball is kicked. A second player must touch the ball before the kicker touches it again. U6 will use a kick next to the goal in place of a goal kick. The corner kick. A corner kick for the attacking team will be used to restart a ball that has gone out of play on the end line last touched by the defending team. The kick should be taken from within the corner arc on the side of the field that it went out of play on. Opposing teams must be 10 yards away until the ball is kicked. A second player must touch the ball before the kicker can touch it again, but a goal can be scored directly from the corner kick. The next section will briefly mention a few of the additional guidelines that CUSC will follow for safety and development purposes. Concussion research has brought awareness to the potential that improper heading may cause serious injury. As advised by the U.S. Soccer Federation and Alabama Soccer Association, intentional heading has been banned for players ages 10 and under. Due to mixed ages at CUSC, there will be no intentional heading in games through U12. Proper heading instruction and limited repetitions can occur at practice for ages 11 and up. To help reduce the risk of potentially heading the ball and to learn proper buildup of play, goalkeepers at U8 and U10 are not allowed to punt or to throw over the heads of players. While permitted, punting is discouraged at the U12 level to encourage better play. You may hear coaches and staff members talk about mandatory positioning. This guideline simply refers to the idea that we want players to learn positions and roles on the field rather than simply chasing the ball around or performing some type of discouraged style, structure, or tactic. While we do keep score at all ages and believe in the value of lessons learned from winning and losing in competition, our goal at CUSC is the development of all players. Competitive balance may be implemented to ensure this development. Teams winning by 4 or more goals must complete a certain number of passes before scoring. This challenges the winning team to improve their game and also gives the losing team a chance to get better as well. In this section, we will identify the common positions that players may learn as they progress through each age division. There are 3 basic categories of positions: defenders, midfielders, and forwards. Beginning at U8, goalkeepers will be introduced. Of course, this is the only player allowed to control the ball with their hands. Moving up the field, we have defenders. As more players are added and systems become more complex, you may hear specific names of defenders, such as the center back, sweeper, stopper, wing back, or fullback. Near the center of the field, midfielders are tasked with transitioning the ball from the back to the front. Other names of midfielders may be center mid, left mid, right mid, attacking mid, defending mid, holding mid, and halfback. Lastly, the forwards are the furthest up the field in the opponent's half. Other than scoring goals, these players are the first line of defense against the other team. You may also hear these names for forwards: left and right forward, winger, center forward, and striker. A system of play in soccer is a way to organize the players in the field so that each player has a specific responsibility within a formation. Variations come in deciding how many players at each position, their specific role, and the exact shape of the formation. Systems are numbered from back to front, often excluding goalkeepers. For example, when playing 9v9 at U12, a 3-2-3 formation has 3 defenders, 2 midfielders, 3 forwards, and of course 1 goalkeeper. Lastly, listening to soccer commentators may sound like a foreign language if you aren't familiar with the vocabulary. Just like any other sport, soccer too has its own terminology. Here are a few of the more common words that you are likely to hear. Pitch refers to the soccer field. A booking refers to receiving a yellow or red card. Boots are the soccer cleats. A cross is a pass that goes from the sidelines into the penalty box area. A switch is a movement, single or multiple passes of the ball from one side of the field to the other. Dribbling, like basketball, is running with the ball, but obviously in soccer, at the player's feet. A pass is simply a kick to a teammate. A shot is an attempt to score a goal. It could be with any legal part of the body. A trap is another name for receiving the ball. A tackle is an attempt to win a ball by kicking or sliding towards the ball. A tackle does not have to make contact with the player. Space is referring to an open area of the field. Wall is the term that we use when players are defending a free kick by lining up next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, 10 yards away from the ball. To juggle is to simply keep the ball in the air using legal parts of the body. A drop is referring to a pass to a player behind them within formation. So maybe from a midfielder to a defender. Support refers to a player's position in order to help defend or attack. Volley is referring to kicking the ball out of the air. A half volley would be kicking the ball out of the air after it has bounced on the ground. Hat trick refers to scoring 3 goals in a game by the same player. An assist is a pass that directly leads to a score. First touch is a skill of gaining control of the ball to set up the second option. We often refer to this as one of the most important skills in the game. A mark is to cover a player that may or may not have the ball. Man is a call used to indicate that an opposing player is nearby. Save is when the goalkeeper or defender prevents a score. Box, usually in reference to the 18-yard box or the penalty area. An own goal is a goal scored by the defending team into their own goal. And lastly, the punt, my least favorite tactic, but favorite definition. A useful way of measuring the sophistication of a soccer crowd is to listen to their reaction to a long punt by the goalkeeper. If they ooh and ah as the ball arcs downfield for 40 or 50 yards, chances are they don't know too much about soccer. A long punt, assessed by football criteria, is impressive. By soccer standards, it is next to useless. As a pass, the high towering punt has 2 major drawbacks. The ball is in the air too long, allowing opponents plenty of time to cover the intended receiver. And when the ball finally does come down, the angle and the speed of its descent make it extremely difficult for a forward to control. The defender, of course, doesn't have to control it. He merely heads or hoofs it back to whence it came. To the reader who asks why, then, do goalkeepers constantly punt the ball, I can only reply that it is a total mystery to me, too. I completely agree, Paul Gardner. Now you can jump right into the conversation about what's happening during the game and not feel quite as confused about who is doing what and why they are doing it.
Congratulations, you're now a graduate of Soccer 101. Enjoy coaching, playing, and watching the game with more confidence about the general rules, structure, and guidelines of soccer followed by CUSC. Now for fun, test your knowledge by following the link to our IQ test. Coaches, remember to take the test as documentation that you've gone through this video. Please do so before attending the mandatory Course 1 training. Thanks everyone. See you on the pitch.